Okay, this is take two. What? A wrestling rant. And it's 2:07 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I know I have insomnia. What do you want? Now, somebody asked Dave Petka a question about the Jeff Jarrett Kurt Angle situation a while back. He said he barely watches wrestling. So do I. Mondays, if anything, I turn it on at 9 o'clock and I leave it on mute and I don't give a shit. I'll read the stuff on Pro Wrestling Torch. And if it's a 3-hour program, it'll be 2 for me because I'm watching House at 8 o'clock. Why did I give up watching professional wrestling? Where do you want me to begin? Well, first off, you have to go back to where I started. That would be when I was about, 5, 6. And you're watching the NWA when, it actually had a national TV deal. And you had the NWA, you had WWE when it was the WWF. You had Hogan, Andre, Ultimate Warrior, the Four Horsemen, the Fabulous Freebirds. You had Lex Luger, Barry Windham, Kendall Windham. Yeah, even though he was a piece of shit. And a bunch of other wrestlers, and a fuck ton of wrestlers actually had more talent. See, back in the old days of wrestling, here's what you had to do. They gave you, first off, the shows were typically about an hour. So you had about, if you're lucky, a minute, minute and a half to get your promo out and get the fans to either cheer you or boo you. It's not hard to figure out. So what happened was, so everything was going fine. Eventually NWA became WCW, and I kind of faced that WCW for a little while. When I came back to watching it, Hulk Hogan wasn't working for WWE anymore. He came to WCW. Now, did I watch it mainly because of Hogan? No. Actually, if anything, that's when I started my anti-Hogan phase. I started liking people like the Four Horsemen, who were the big heels at the time. Yeah, that's when I actually started rooting for the bad guys. Now, if I find a really good bad guy to like if I watch WWE, I root for the Miz now. Ugh. Yeah, let me throw up in my mouth for a bit. And yeah, it's hard to find any really good heels or even faces, for those who aren't initiated, that means good guy or bad guy, to root for. Why? Again, we have to go back to where I started. In the old days, because of how little time you were given to do a promo, you had to get your shit done. Because now most wrestling programs are 2 hours long. Guess how long the promos are? Well, almost about as long as the program. Alright, that's an exaggeration. Maybe about 10 minutes. But some of these wrestlers, like Chris Jericho and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and even Randy Orton. Now I know I'm going to catch shit from the Chris Jericho fanboys because they'll say Chris Jericho is great. Question, guys, do you actually remember Chris Jericho when he started in ECW? Here, let me help you out. He started in ECW. He was the Lionheart. Had some good matches, but this is also when ECW didn't even have a regular TV deal. They were like spot shown on like Sports Channel America, Philadelphia, here in New Jersey, at like 5 o'clock on Tuesdays. He then goes to WCW. Remember that gimmick? He was the master of the loophole. What was his highest belt? Cruiserweight title. I don't even remember if he held the TV title in ECW. I don't think he did. Then somehow he gets to WWE, and they push him to the moon. Now WWE calls him a Hall of Famer. Okay, kids. Time to pull back the curtain for a second and break that fourth wall. The so-called Hall of Fame, there's no real vote. It's whoever Vince and creative feels like should go in that will actually be able to sell the tickets to go to. It's for people to go to this bloody thing. If you were going to have a Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, a true one, I don't think for some reason I would want to put Bret Hart in there. Nor Hogan, because of what he actually did for the sport, sure. He made it cool for wrestlers to do Hollywood stuff and everything else. But for the most part, no. Hogan, for the most part, Bret Hart, no. The fact that he made it into a Hall of Fame, I think Vince did that mostly out of pity because he screwed him. If you don't know about the Montreal Screwjob, do yourself a favor, wiki the damn thing. Okay? Ain't hard. Wiki it. Because what ended up happening was Vince he went from announcer, see, everybody knew he ran the place, but he went from announcer to an on-screen character. See, that was fine also when he did the whole thing with Austin. But now it's just, it's overdone, it's played out, I'm sick of it. But then we get to TNA. Oh, at one point it was called NWA TNA. Then TNA decided they're going to take the NWA titles and, I don't know, not defend them as it was meant to be, so they got stripped of them. Read Wiki and you'll find out that it basically was meant to be that way. At some point they decided to part company. Okay. Well, let's look at TNA. You had Jim Cornette running your creative. He got bounced. Why? Because of Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara. Now Vince, if he steps out of line, is going to have Hogan to deal with. And yet again, the promos are 20 goddamn minutes, and you're lucky if you see 5 matches. I think I buy maybe 1 pay-per-view a year. Typically, WrestleMania. Because, for the life of me, it's the only thing worth watching. Excuse me. It's the only thing worth watching that WWE does. Well then, maybe, if you're lucky, Night of Champions. But the only other problem is they got this third wheel called ECW now. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's WWE, never mind. But, well, yeah, it works. TNA, Slammiversary, or Bound for Glory. I think I bought Slammiversary to see the King of the Mountain. Good stuff. But for the most part, professional wrestling is complete and utter shit. And what we need to do is take it out back and shoot it, or hope ROH and Dragon's Gate USA can pull it out of the funk that Vince McMahon and Vince Russo put it in. Anyway, my time is almost up. My name is Amisbro. Please leave a comment, or rate this, or subscribe if you feel inclined. Thank you, and good night. or morning.